is water worth? Water, water everywhere. Many of us around the world don't think about water often. Why should we? When water is all around, it comes out of faucets and collects in puddles on the sidewalk when it rains. Lakes and rivers are full of water. We buy water in bottles and sip it from fountains. In fact, we have a glass as big as the United States and filled with every drop of water on the planet. The glass would have to be 145 kilometers tall to hold it all. With so much water, you'd think everyone would have enough water to drink. Not so. A drop in a bucket. Water is fast coming to more precious than gold or oil. The planet simply does not have enough usable water for everyone. For one thing, most Earth's water is salt water, which we can't drink or use water for water our crops or use to water our crops. Only about 3% of Earth's water is fresh. Most of that is locked away in polar ice caps, glaciers, or underground layers of rock. Some countries have more fresh water than others, but most have enough water to meet people's needs. However, they can always make that water available to people. Rich countries can tap into a hard-to-reach sources of water. In poor countries, people often don't have enough money to dig wells or build dams. Today, humans can only use 1% of Earth's fresh water. That 1% is in such short supply of three main reasons: pollution, population, and climate change. Population's impact. Water pollution is a huge problem on many continents. In South America, people have been dumping harmful chemicals into the Amazon rivers for years. Drilling of oil and mining for gold has poisoned some parts of the river and surrounding forests. There are other poor areas where fresh water often goes untreated. Pollution makes people sick in other ways. Because people lack running water, they dump human waste outside their houses, filled with bacteria. That waste then flows into rivers and streams. People use the water in these polluted waterways for drinking, cooking, and bathing. Research shows that half of the world's hospital beds contain patients sick from drinking unclean water. In Haiti, one of the poorest countries in the world, 7 out of 10 people don't have clean water to drink. Each year, unclean drinking water causes more than half the deaths in Haiti. A huge earthquake in 2010 damaged wells and water pipes there, making water clean even more scarce. Many children and adults must walk miles to find clean water to drink. Population's impact. On October 13, 2011, a baby girl was born in the Philippines. She was the world's 7 billionth person. By the time she turned 7, experts say that 9 billion people will be walking the planet. Each of us will be looking for food, energy, land, and water. Growing populations limit the amount of water for each person. Research shows that today, more than 1.1 million people, almost 1 in 6% of the world, don't have enough clean water to drink. They live on less than 8 liters a day. Experts say that by 2035, 3.6 billion people will be living in areas where water is scarce. even wealthy countries can face water shortages, in part because people in wealthy countries use more water. In the United States, a four-person family on average uses 1,514 liters of water a day. That's about 379 liters per person. This level of use could only last if only a few people were using the water. Instead, more and more people rely on limited water sources. For example, the Los Angeles area's population is expected to reach 41 million by 2020. Yet, the rivers they pull their water from carry less water than they used to. The impact climate change. Climate change threatens the global water supply. Scientists predict that by 2050, 1/5 of the world's population may face serious water shortages as a result of climate change. Climate change results from true carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. They are gases produced in large part of burning the fossil fuels trap the sun's heat close to the Earth's surface. Much like a greenhouse, the result of an overall increase in Earth's temperature. As Earth warms, the weather in different parts of the world is changing. Unusual amounts of rain and snow can fall in some areas, causing floods. Dry areas can become more dry. A drought is a long period of lower than normal rain or snow that results in a shortage of water. Regions at the highest risks of drought include the Mediterranean and the Middle East in the United States. Most scientists say that climate change is responsible for an extreme drought in the Southwest and in California. The drought in the Southwest can be caused by problems in the region since 1999. States such as Nevada and Arizona rely on shrinking Colorado River, a source of fresh water for 22 million people. If rain doesn't increase soon, odds are good that desert residents will be forced to use less water in their daily lives. Scientists say climate change is also melting glaciers in the Himalayan mountains. The glaciers help provide fresh water for 1.5 million people living in India, Pakistan, and 6 other Asian countries. In the past, melting glaciers slowly release water into the rivers below. Now the glaciers are melting rapidly. The long-term water supply is shrinking. At the same time, the increased melting can cause severe flooding along these rivers. As the climate changes, less water is available in many countries for ranching, growing crops, and producing energy. Nature and wildlife suffer. Arguments break out between cities, states, and even countries. Solving the problem. So what can you do? Each person's effort to save water can help. Countries need to find solutions too. Workers in Saudi Arabia are converting salt water to fresh water in a process called desalination. The process is expensive though, so many countries cannot afford to build desalination plants. What can you do? Turn off the water when brushing your teeth. Take shorter showers. Turn off the hose when washing the family car. Buy a rain barrel to store water for plants. Fix leaks and drips. Eat less meat. When you when you can buy used or recycled stuff instead of new stuff. The island of Singapore is seeing if they can clean the wastewater. They're trying to reuse water that comes from washing dishes, flushing toilets, and taking baths and showers. Some other countries do this, but Singapore obtains 1/3 of its water this way. While cities are growing rapidly, agriculture uses 70% of the world's fresh water. Should some of the water go to cities instead? Solving the planet's water problem is hard. Still, we all need to find ways to conserve this valuable resource. It's not just for our generation, but for the ones yet to come.